And Kim and some of the team had clues that were leading to a bar. And they stopped at that bar, and the lady boy in the bar was not really open to, but three of the people had all the same clues. So they were like, why are we here, God? What's happening? And I'm standing outside, and I turn around, and there's one little girl selling gum. And I, right away, because the kids that are trafficked, some of their hair is very similar. They have Vietnamese handlers, and they do their hair in a specific way. Again, if you worked here, you know that. Lek will probably know that. She has a bar there. She knows, if you've been here long enough, you know what to look out for. So I look, and I say, okay, hey, where are you from? Right away. And she says, Cambodia. And that day, I switched Rose to go into my group because I was like, I need to spend more time with Rose. I felt like, you know, she needs to come with me and maybe we can try to see where the kids are at. Rose was standing next to me. I pull Rose right away. Now, these kids are not allowed to talk to you for more than 2 minutes, which is why it's very difficult to reach out to them. Because sometimes it can be the mother, but sometimes it's the handler. You need more than 2 minutes to find that out, or you need to do it for months at a time to figure out who they are and where they come from. So I pull Rose, and this girl was with an older boy. So Rose starts talking to the girl, and she pulls her aside, and I pull the boy aside because the boy is obviously trying to make sure that the girl doesn't talk to us too long. So Rose starts talking to the girl. Rose gets extremely upset. She came to me and she said, she's being beaten, she wants to go home, she's here without her mom, she wants to go back to her mom. So I continued talking to the boy. I pulled him aside so I can talk to him about, you know, so what do you like, which shows you like, you know, to distract him from the girl. Rose found out a little bit more information and we went home. So what did we do? We do what is the right step to do. I called a social worker that I've worked with for a long time, P. Sujai. So Sujai, I said, this is the story, this is what, you know, is happening, can we help? And Sujai called a police officer who used to help us in the shelter. XP had a shelter here, so that was the police officers who came with us. He's a trafficking police in Pattaya. So I'm thinking, okay, they usually work slower. They need to find out, they need to interview the girl, they need to find out where she's coming from, and the key here is not just to get the girl, it's to get the handler. Because if there's 10 kids, we don't want to take one and they can replace her tomorrow. Yeah. So the biggest deal with that is actually patience. Every case I've worked on, you have to walk away. I think the hardest thing for me and for any of us has been walking away knowing that that child is going to be raped almost 100% on that night. That's the hardest part. So we walked away. The police met with us the next day. Rose was there, and Rose has been amazing, you guys. Rose is just, she's new. She has never been to Thailand before, and she had to translate 3 languages for 2 days, about 12 hours a day. So she came with us, and for 3 hours we were looking for that child. All of a sudden, we were looking for the child with the one police captain, and all of a sudden I turned, there's 10 police officers that they sent to help. 10. To look for that one child. That does not happen that fast. That does not happen that fast. It takes days to get the police involved, and so many of them involved. So me and Rose and the 10 police officers were combing the 3 streets where the kids are, and they said if we cannot find her, we can block the entrances for 2 of the streets and then start sweeping, walking in. So they were walking in 3 hours, I think. We kept going and going. We found another girl with a bruise on her face, and so that's probably the next case that we need to figure out. Anyway, one child at a time, let's just say. The police were sweeping the streets, and I went upstairs because Elizabeth had taken a picture of the girl. Now, Elizabeth has been here before, and she knows. She's very much, she's researched that, and she knows, and she has had those girls on her heart. So Elizabeth had a picture. I run upstairs to get the picture because the police said we're going to block the streets and we're going to sweep all the kids. All the kids have cell phones on them, so if you do not take the cell phone right away, they can call the handler. The key is to get the handler, not just the child. So they said the first thing we sweep, we take their phones out, and we will try to find, give me the picture, we'll try to find her. I come downstairs with Elizabeth's camera, and there was so much warfare on that camera, it wouldn't work. It was working fine, it would not go back to the picture of the girl. Wow. She was the only one with that picture, and the camera stopped working. So we prayed, we got the picture, I run downstairs, I walk out, and I see 2 police officers with the little girl walking towards me. So she ran, she jumped, she was shaking, she was crying, she was, so happy, and she kept saying, I need to go back, I need to go back, I'm so scared, I need to go back, the lady's gonna look for me, the lady's gonna be upset. Her story is, basically, I'll tell you the background of her story. She has been sold by her mom to go into Pattaya and sell flowers. She thought that she kept saying, I was stolen from my mom, I was stolen, but I think at the end we found out that she was sold to sell flowers. She got put on the bus and sent to Pattaya, and a lady with her took her with her and said, oh, your mom's going to wait for you here, your mom's going to wait for you here. So she came here, the mom wasn't here, and they sent her out to sell flowers. Then she was selling flowers for a little bit. I think that she had 2 sisters with her, right, Rose? Selling flowers, and they got caught and they got sent back to Cambodia. And then one day, a Vietnamese lady came and she purchased the girl from the lady that was selling flowers, from the lady who was selling her initially. For 7,000 baht, she bought her off that lady. So she's saying she doesn't know if the mom knows that she's there. So she got sold, and then she got sold again. Now this is the thing with trafficking. Those people, those children, they can be sold and resold and resold. There's no limit of how much money you can make. So that's why the abuse is so bad, because the flower lady, I'm sure, wasn't that bad, but the Vietnamese lady, they don't speak the same language, and she beat her really bad. The girl was beaten every single day, and she ate small meals twice a day. She's very skinny. She's under, malnourished. So she came to us, and then we started looking for the handler. Rose and me in the police car with the girl, who's still, traumatized and scared. And so we're looking for the Vietnamese lady. We couldn't find her. Then we went to the house. The girl remembered where she lived, because there's another boy living with her. There's another 13-year-old boy who's Vietnamese. He was trafficked. He was bought somewhere some time ago. He was staying with her. And so this lady kept buying kids, see? Because they bring her 500 to 1,000 baht a day. And she doesn't have to do anything. Right. She just sends them out, and they come back to her, and they're beaten, and they have nowhere to go. Who are they going to tell? This girl did not speak Thai. So understand the type of jail these kids are in. They don't speak the language. They don't know where to go. They can't go. They don't know the handlers at all. So we went to her apartment, and we walked in with a police officer, Rose, me, and the little girl. We walked into the building to figure out where her room was. And she showed us where she lived, and then we went to the police station. So from then on, it was about 24 hours of paperwork. So that's, again, if you guys think it's a glorious event, it is, but it's also, 24 hours of paperwork and signing and documenting one by one the items, the girl, everything. And if something doesn't line up, that girl can be sent back to the handler. So this is how sensitive this is. This is why people should always do it with the police officers, because, and I'm going to tell you about a case we had a few months back, what happened. And yesterday I found out the details of that case, actually. We had a case of 3 kids that we found on the street begging. And these kids were being sold to foreigners for sex, except the little one. So there's a girl who's 14, there's a boy who is 7 years old, and there's a baby who's 1.5. The 1.5-year-old was not sold for sex, just the 2 older ones, by the stepfather. The baby, when we found him, the baby had a cigarette burn right here. The boy had scars, multiple scars, and the girl has been burned from here to here. her body, her whole body was burned. So we found him, we called the police, same process, police action. One policeman made a mistake. And it wasn't a mistake that was big, he just walked back and forth too many times. They clued in, they got up, they started running, and there's no evidence that these children were trafficked. They're Cambodian kids, they're trafficked for sex and for begging. And because there's no evidence, these children were given back to the stepfather, which means they were not even put as under trafficking, they were not protected. Now, I made a promise to keep these kids safe. I made that promise. And that 14-year-old girl, we found them later, we couldn't find them for a long time, they ended up back in Poipet. She's not talking to me right now, because when they got back into the father, when the police sent them to the home and then sent them back to the father, he beat up the little baby so bad, 2 months in the hospital. He's been for 2 months in the hospital because somebody made a small mistake. So this is how sensitive it is. Trafficking is not, it's a police case. It is a lot of work on their part, and you have to have, you know, for one child it took 10 policemen, 2 social workers, and 2 government agencies, and 1 Rose. Yeah, exactly, and 24 hours of paperwork. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage you, I'm saying this to show you the reality of what's happening. It's bad, it is, the kids suffer a lot. And even if we have to do 7 days of paperwork, it is still worth it. But anything we do, we have to honor God by doing it right, because it is not about us. This is not about me or Rose or any of the policemen. This is about that child. And we need to honor the child, and we need to honor God in the way we do things. But you guys were here when that miracle happened, because never before we have caught a child, we have saved and rescued a child during a school. This has never happened before. She's between, I think she's between 8 and 10 years old, and right now she's in a government shelter. She is put under trafficked, which means that she will be saved. That child is now saved because of your prayers, because of your time, because of listening to God on that outreach, and listening to God and the clues. Because if Kim was not gone, if Kim's team did not listen to the clues from God, I would have never been in front of that bar during that time with Rose.
Yes.
So, yeah, so she's safe. Medically, she's fine. She is healthy. She's quite upset. She didn't want to let go of Rose and me, I think. But I think that's God, actually. She felt safe. And Rose, can you come up here? You guys, that's her first time in Thailand, and she got thrown in into this massive police rescue operation. And I just want to ask for prayer for her, because this girl stood there on a couch for 8 hours, translating and waiting, and she did a phenomenal job. Wow. So I would ask for prayer for her, because she's going to be working on the ground with me probably every month, and the future plan is to do that. And actually yesterday we went to the 2nd police department, and the police chief of Pattaya came to us and asked us if we're willing to work with them in the future, because they need help. This has never happened before. We have worked with the police for 3.5 years. Tears and sweat and crying and Lori on the phone every day, and me having a breakdown after breakdown that is not working, and losing faith and gaining faith, and this is finally happening. It happened when you guys were here. So I just want to thank you for that, and I just want to honor Rose for all your hard work, and just phenomenal. So can we pray for her, you guys? And can we just pray for Rose? Extend your hand and